First, they came for the copywriters, then the illustrators. Now they say the data scientists are next. With every new AI tool launch, the headlines sound louder. Coding is dead. AI is replacing analysts. But behind the panic, something else is happening, and it's not what you think. The shift no one saw coming. Just a few years ago, data science was the hottest job in tech. Every startup wanted a team of analysts. Every company scrambled to hire talent that could wrangle data, build models, and make predictions. But then something changed. ChatGPT dropped. So did Claude, DeepSeek, Gemini. Suddenly, you didn't need a data scientist to summarize trends or even build a model. You could just prompt in seconds. That accessibility changed everything. For the first time, generative AI wasn't just a research concept, it was public, powerful, and practical. What used to take weeks now took minutes, and businesses took notice. According to job posting data collected between late 2022 and early 2025, AI-related roles have more than doubled. In January 2024, there were just under 2,000 AI-tagged job postings. By January 2025, that number had jumped to over 5,000, a massive leap, especially considering the backdrop of layoffs and cost-cutting across tech. So what's going on? Are we firing one class of tech workers just to hire another? Why companies are chasing AI talent? To understand why data scientists are being replaced, or more accurately, reallocated, you have to look at what's driving this surge in AI hiring. It's not just hype, it's economics, capability, and survival instinct. At the core of it all is a very simple equation. AI is faster, cheaper, and increasingly accurate, and businesses love equations like that. Before generative AI took off, companies were already investing in automation to reduce costs. But automation was expensive, complicated, and limited to repetitive back-end tasks. With LLMs, that limitation is gone. Now you can automate insight, not just execution. You can replace multiple roles, not just clerical ones, but analytical ones, with a single AI agent that works 24/7. Not only does that reduce headcount, it also unlocks a new level of scale. Your AI doesn't need breaks, it doesn't call in sick, it doesn't burn out. That's the reason why CEOs, CTOs, and investors are no longer seeing AI as an optional experiment. It's becoming core infrastructure. We're seeing it in earnings calls, where AI is now mentioned by nearly every S&P 500 company. 10 years ago, AI was a footnote. Today, it's a strategic pillar. Not investing in AI now is starting to look like not investing in the internet in 1999. And it's not just tech companies. AI is bleeding into every sector: healthcare, law, real estate, education, finance, logistics. If there's a decision to be made based on data, there's a tool being built to automate it. And as that happens, a new class of workers is needed. Not just coders, but people who can implement AI systems into actual business environments. These aren't data scientists in the traditional sense. These are AI integrators, model operators, system engineers, product specialists who know how to take a pre-trained model and turn it into something useful and scalable inside an organization. Part of this shift is also psychological. When executives saw ChatGPT respond in perfect English, or near perfect at least, they started to realize something. You no longer need a PhD in statistics to build a tool that looks and feels intelligent. You just need someone who knows how to wire up an interface, route the prompts correctly, monitor outputs, and patch the gaps. That's it. That's the new AI stack. And here's where the urgency kicks in. The cost of doing nothing is rising. Every time a competitor ships an AI-powered feature or slashes customer service costs with an LLM, you're falling behind. So executives are asking a new kind of question, not, can we afford to try AI, but can we afford not to? This is especially important for mid-sized companies. Big firms can afford in-house research teams. Startups can pivot quickly, but companies in the middle are caught in a squeeze. They don't want to fall behind, but they also can't hire armies of PhD-level researchers. That's why AI roles are skewing toward practical implementation, not cutting-edge development. It's why titles like AI Product Manager and AI Solutions Architect are exploding in job listings. These are roles focused on translating business needs into AI workflows, and that's not something you need to invent a new algorithm for. You just need to know how to pick the right tool, wire it up, and get results. This dynamic explains why the job market is shifting so rapidly. We're seeing fewer postings for traditional data science roles that focus on model building from scratch. Instead, we're seeing roles that emphasize AI deployment, prompt engineering, system monitoring, and output evaluation. The skills are changing, but the underlying value is the same. Turn raw data into usable action. One other factor worth noting is infrastructure. 5 years ago, if you wanted to do anything meaningful with AI, you had to build or rent massive compute clusters, deal with GPU shortages, and handle all your model training in-house. Now, you can access world-class models via a simple API call. Open-source alternatives like Mistral or Llama are freely available, and tools like Hugging Face make them easy to deploy. Cloud platforms like Azure and AWS are already offering turnkey AI stacks. The barrier to entry has collapsed. This lowers the bar not just for businesses, but for talent. You no longer need to build the car, you just need to know how to drive it. That's why companies aren't just looking for ML researchers anymore. They're looking for people who understand real-world implementation, people who know when an AI model will enhance a workflow and when it will just add more noise. This demand for applied knowledge over theoretical complexity is reshaping what it means to work in AI, and it's leaving traditional data scientists in a strange place, overqualified for one world, underprepared for the next. But the transition isn't impossible. In fact, the same people who were building machine learning pipelines 3 years ago are now some of the best candidates to step into these new AI roles. They understand the data, they understand the risk, they just need to learn the new tools, and more importantly, learn how the business is changing around them. Because what AI is doing is more than just changing job titles. It's changing the very nature of decision-making inside companies. When AI becomes a part of every process, from marketing to finance to HR, you need people who understand both the technical and the strategic. That hybrid thinking? It's exactly what skilled data scientists already have. They just need to reframe it. And that's what we'll explore next, how data scientists are adapting and where they're actually going. The AI engineer gold rush. AI engineering has become the new buzzword. But what does it actually mean? In simple terms, AI engineers are software engineers who specialize in building tools and systems that use pre-trained AI models. They're not necessarily creating the models themselves. Instead, they're embedding them into apps, creating user interfaces, crafting prompt workflows, and connecting everything to cloud infrastructure. Think of them like architects building smart homes, not inventing electricity, but wiring the house so the lights respond to your voice. This is very different from traditional data science roles, which tend to sit closer to the research end of the spectrum, working with raw data, building models from scratch, and presenting insights in slide decks. And here's the twist. A lot of AI engineers are former data scientists. Where the data scientists are really going? No, they're not all getting laid off and changing careers. What's actually happening is subtler, and in many ways, more powerful. They're evolving. Many data scientists are becoming AI evaluators, product analysts, and even business strategists. Let's take a closer look. As companies rush to integrate AI, they quickly realize something. The outputs from AI models need to be checked, constantly. Large language models hallucinate. Predictive tools can misfire. Outputs can drift over time. Someone needs to test, interpret, and decide whether these models are actually doing what they're supposed to. That someone tends to be a data scientist. Evaluation work has exploded. Businesses need people who can compare model performance, test prompt changes, run experiments, and flag ethical concerns. This isn't glamorous work, but it's essential, and it requires a deep understanding of metrics, experimentation, and data interpretation. In other words, it requires the exact skill set data scientists already have. Data science isn't dead, it's different. There's a law in physics called entropy. Nothing stays still, everything moves. The same could be said for data science. A decade ago, Data visualization meant using Excel and maybe R if you were lucky. Today it means interactive dashboards built with Power BI or Tableau. Back then, machine learning meant months of modeling. Now it means writing a good prompt and knowing when to tweak it. That doesn't mean data science is gone. It means it's evolving. Machine learning hasn't disappeared. It's been absorbed, automated, accelerated. AI now handles a lot of the repetitive modeling work, yes, but it still needs direction. It still needs cleanup. It still needs context. When you ask ChatGPT to build 5 ML models on the Titanic dataset and plot the results, it can do it. But when that same model fails to load the dataset because of a broken GitHub link, someone still has to step in. That someone? Usually a data scientist. Why AI can't do it all? AI can generate code. It can summarize data. It can even create full reports. But it cannot understand why your company's revenue dropped last quarter. It doesn't know about that policy change in your supply chain or the competitor that launched a new product 2 weeks ago. It doesn't read Slack. It doesn't sit in meetings, and it definitely doesn't understand what your CEO is most worried about going into quarter 3. That's why human analysts still matter. AI can offer suggestions, but humans still need to interpret, contextualize, and communicate what's going on. In business, raw insights mean nothing without a narrative, without strategic alignment, without someone asking, "So what?" And when it comes to things like ethics, bias, or fairness, AI's track record isn't great. Left unchecked, it can reinforce systemic problems, discriminate against certain groups, or prioritize profit over people. That's why oversight isn't optional, it's mandatory. The new skill set for the new era. So where do data scientists go from here? The answer isn't to resist AI, it's to work with it. Today's top data professionals are leaning into AI, not as a threat, but as a partner. They're learning how to integrate LLMs into their workflows. They're building tools with LangChain. They're experimenting with AutoML. They're sharpening their cloud computing skills. And they're positioning themselves not just as model builders, but as AI-informed problem solvers. They're also getting better at the one thing AI still can't do: strategy. The ability to see a business problem, understand the data behind it, and figure out what kind of solution is actually needed, that's irreplaceable. You can't prompt your way to intuition. Personal brands and professional power. In this new era, visibility matters. Data scientists who once kept to themselves are now speaking at webinars, writing LinkedIn posts, sharing projects on GitHub. They're not just building portfolios, they're building reputations. And in a world where job titles are changing fast, that visibility can be the difference between being seen as someone who's getting replaced and someone who's driving the future. You might not see data scientist in as many job postings as before, but you will see titles like AI product analyst, artificial intelligence quality assurance specialist, machine learning ops, responsible AI lead. These roles didn't exist 5 years ago. Now they're everywhere, and former data scientists are filling them. Not everyone will make it. Let's be honest, not everyone who once called themselves a data scientist will stick around. Some won't adapt, some won't want to, and that's okay. The skills that got someone hired in 2019 might not be enough in 2025. The field is changing fast, but the people who are learning, experimenting, and growing, they're not getting replaced. They're becoming the architects of the next wave. Yes, the flashy modeling work is being commoditized, but the strategy, the evaluation, the integration, those are still human domains. And for those who understand the shift, there's real opportunity. The future is hybrid. We're not heading toward a world where humans are obsolete. We're heading toward a hybrid future, one where AI does the heavy lifting and humans steer the ship, where data scientists become AI native operators, where success means knowing when to automate and when to intervene. In healthcare, for example, AI can analyze kidney scans in under a minute, but it was trained on human inputs, and it still needs a doctor to interpret the results and decide the next step. That's the model, not replacement, partnership. And as the flood of data grows, from sensors, social media, customer feedback, transaction logs, the need for people who can make sense of that chaos only increases. AI can surface patterns, but humans create meaning.